So certainly over the years in playing Necrons, there's been a variety of tricks based on the units, based on the interpretation of Games Workshop at the time. Are the Satan actual gods? Are they shards? Are the Necrons the slaves or the masters? We've had a variety of new units, new rules. But the one thing that has been consistent, the one thing that has been literally the backbone of playing Necrons, and the one thing that I feel as a Necron player we want to master beyond anything else, is the reanimation protocols. Or back in the day, we'll be back. So essentially, on a 5-up, you get back up. And the reason why this is so powerful for Necrons is the fact that it is an army-wide rule. No matter what kind of build you look into, you're going to be able to take advantage of this reanimation to some extent. Other armies that try to mimic it in 40K, and over the years there's been a variety of them, usually simulating some type of feel no pain. You either had to pay significant points to do that, or you had to take your army in kind of a direction to build and do that. On top of that, with Necrons, this is something that still, Space Marines will get it, next edition, right? It's something very unique, inherent to the Necron army. And over the years, the things that have made certain armies very, very specific, very, very special, that line kind of blurs a little bit. So I feel as a Necron player, one of the things we want to look to master and exploit is reanimation protocols. Now, a lot of ways that I see Necron players using this, and these are new Necron players. I was there myself at one time. We're getting used to this concept of, hey, reanimate, 5-up, get up on there. We tend to think of it as something that just happens and something that's going to keep us in the game. Kind of like something that just happens and I get some guys back up. It's a nice feature. You're not going to argue against it, but you're losing out on the potential of it. This is especially challenging if you're coming from playing another type of army in 40K where you're not aware of the power of it. A perfect example, really quick. When I was playing my Samhan Eldar, I just started playing this army. This was 4th edition 40K. So what's that? 2006, 2007, somewhere in there. And in my mind, at the time, I was playing Space Wolves before that. Fritz was the son of Russ at one time. Then the gods enlightened me. But with that, I was playing Space Marines, T4, 3-up save, bolter. Jet bike is kind of the same thing, right? At the time, T4, Shuriken Catapult was a bolter, twin-linked on there, toughness 4. Except my jet bike was like 27 points in 4th edition versus like 16-point Space Marine in there, and they didn't have the inherent backbone of Space Marines. So if you're coming from another army and you're playing Necrons as your second army or kind of a side army, you might not realize the power of it. And likewise, if this is your first 40K army, we want to exploit it. So here's a couple of ideas to keep in mind with this. Now, I know on a D6, that's a 33% chance, right? A 5 or 6, roughly what? 33.33, 33, something in there. Those are pretty good odds, if you think about it. Those are pretty good army-wide across, which means you're going to make a lot of these saves over the course of the game. The exact numbers we can't crunch, right? Because there's a curve in there. One of you guys who are the math hammer guys, you guys will do it. But essentially, what? If I'm playing a 2,000-point game, and you have 2,000 points, right? 2,000. I have 2,000. You have 2,000. Really, I have. How many points do I have, taking that into account for the majority of my units? 2,200, 2,500. It is significant. Think about every time a model regenerates, you get that in free points. That's like you get to add another model on there. That is huge. So this is not something that we want to use to coast throughout the game. This is something, the first way to use reanimation protocols. This vlog, we're going to look at one of them, and then in future ones we'll follow up because I want you guys to be able to isolate it and utilize this. At the beginning of the game, Necrons need to be extremely aggressive. You need to get up there, you need to open up stuff with Gauss, and you just need to shoot, to shoot, to shoot. Maybe you've got some assault linchpin units. you can't stand around. You can't hang back. You want to get engaged immediately, because at the start of the game, this analogy, if I have 2,000 points, you have 2,000 points. Unless I'm fighting Necrons, it's a dynasty war here, civil war. You are going to get weaker every turn from losses. As I get weaker from losses every turn, I'm going to recoup some of those losses. It's not a war of attrition, because I'm regaining stuff on there. What that means is this dynamic is going to be accelerated tremendously, where essentially as you're losing models, I'm gaining models. That means the only way that has weight, it's magnified every turn, right? Every turn you get weaker. Every turn I get weaker, but I get a little bit of my strength back, right? I'm kind of like Wolverine on the tabletop, healing factor here. I don't want that to kick in turn 4, turn 5. I want that to kick in turn 1. I want to hit you. I want to hit you hard. You're going to hit me back. A couple of my guys are going to stand back up. Turn 2, what's going to happen over the course, the flow of the game, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, onward, it is going to magnify, get bigger, get greater. This is going to give me what we talked about in 40K, leverage of dice. This is so freaking powerful. And that, I believe, is one of the secrets to being a good Necron player. Being able to aggressively use the reanimation protocols. That's part 1. In a day or two, I'll post up part 2. Comments, feedback, flames. We'll look at part 3. And that'll give us kind of this pyramid, 3-point pyramid that I feel like using Necrons, again, regardless of your build, what we want to take a look at.